Oh, another spectacular week in the Premier League. Mr. P&P here. How are we all? I am feeling in a much better mood. Don't ask me why. It's not because of my club. Believe me, it isn't because of those waste men. But it feels like a much better day, and I feel like there's going to be more twists and turns for this weekend coming as well. We're going to get into last weekend's football. We'll do it now, actually. We'll get into it right now. We'll start at Old Trafford. So Everton went to Old Trafford to play Man United. I can't even remember the last time Everton went to Old Trafford and picked up a result. And it didn't change over the weekend. Everton ended up losing 2-0 in the 12 o'clock kickoff. Didn't actually see the game, but from what I saw, Manchester United were comfortable. They weren't special. Obviously got a game this evening in the Europa League now, which I've got them down as favourites to win. But Everton just don't. They just don't. They don't inspire. The only thing they did this season was beat Arsenal, which obviously, was fantastic. It was great. New manager bounce and everything else. But since then, they've been mediocre. I do believe Sean Dyche will save them. I do still believe Man United are finishing in the top four. Probably finish about third. And then the last kind of spot will be out of us and Newcastle. But yeah, good 2-0 win for Man United. Marcus Rashford back on the score sheet again. I also understand in regards to Man United that there is now a third round of bidding happening in relation to the takeover that they've got incoming potentially with regards to the new businessmen. First, is it Saudi Arabians? I think it's the Saudi Arabians. Yeah. So yeah, that's still in the pipeline to happen. So obviously fans are waiting on that to take place as well. Moving on to Villa Park, Aston Villa 2, Nottingham Forest 0. It's getting a bit peak for Forest at the moment. I did say that their home form will probably be the thing that keeps them up, and I'm still of the volition of that. But they are bad away from home, Forest. They are so poor. Aston Villa are playing magnificently. Up to 7th in the league now, Aston Villa. They've got a really favourable fixture over the weekend as well. So they can obviously push on that. Aston Villa are now occupying the European spaces, which I obviously had reserved for Brentford, Brighton and Fulham et al. Fulham seem to have fallen off a cliff ever since Mitrovic's red card and ban. But no, Villa are doing bits, man. Ollie Watkins on the score sheet again. That boy's in a very, very rich vein of form at the moment. I think that's his 12th goal of the season. Which I believe is his second best tally since he's been in the Premier League at the moment. So well done to him. As for Forest, as I said, they are putrid away from home, man. They are so bad. And it showed this weekend. Had no threat. There was no cutting edge, had no guile, defensively all over the place. Aston Villa just picked them off at will. And that's what you get when you're not prepared. And Forest weren't at all. On to Brentford versus Newcastle. This is from the G-Tech. Brentford actually took the lead in this one, and I actually anticipated Brentford to obviously hold Newcastle off. Boy, was I wrong. Newcastle roared back in the second half. Isak was on the score sheet again. Good signing. I think he's got 8 goals now in about 16 starts and something like 3 assists or something. Really good signing for them. Long-term signing as well. I think he's a permanent signing there. No, Newcastle are on absolute bits. Since the cup final, they've actually been really decent. Picked up some very good results over the past few weeks as well. This weekend is going to be a bit of a test for them. But we'll obviously get into that in a moment. We'll move on to Fulham, who were one of the aforementioned football clubs that I did name by way of, discussion in the top 8 and all of that stuff. They lost to West Ham this weekend from Craven Cottage, and West Ham have been hideous this season as well. But this just shows you how bad Fulham are at the moment with Mitrovic isn't in the team. Again, another one of those where I didn't really see the stats either, but from what I understand and gather, Fulham got everything they deserved out of the game, which is completely nothing. West Ham obviously getting the 1-0 win, which obviously helps allay their relegation fears. Obviously need a little bit more. And they've got a tough one over the weekend as well when Arsenal come to visit them. But again, another fixture we'll obviously get into when we do the roundup of week 32, I believe it is. Wolverhampton 1, Chelsea 0. I would say that's usually a shock. Not for me. I did say Wolves will beat Chelsea. I just couldn't see Chelsea scoring. Chelsea under Frank Lampard are going to be as hideous as what they were when they were with him first. I think getting rid of Thomas Tuchel was a big mistake. Even Graham Potter at this moment in time, I would have kept him in because I don't see how Frank Lampard does a better job than Graham Potter. I mean, Lampard, the name, I guess, will galvanise a couple of the players, but I don't think he's the name that is going to pull you out of trouble. He almost got Everton relegated, for goodness sake. So how is he going to get Chelsea out of this rut? And I saw Chelsea yesterday against Real Madrid and they were rubbish. So I'm not shocked by it. Wolverhampton, they don't really score many goals, but only needed the one to beat Chelsea. 600 million in January spent, Chelsea. I wanted to just add there again. Yeah, good win for Wolves. Again, another one of those teams sort of in that relegation zone. One of those teams that could get out of it, I think. I don't think they'll go down. I think they'll be one of the ones that are safe. Chelsea, boy, if Chelsea keep going the way they're going, they could be stuck into a relegation zone themselves. They need to be careful. They really do. They're currently 11th in the league at the moment. I think Fulham are above them in 10th, Brentford above them in 9th. So they got lots to do. A lot to do, and they got no striker to do it. Aubameyang somewhere in Spain celebrating and doing the Azonto, like at the new camp. What are they? I don't know. Not my business anyway. Chelsea are absolutely smelly at the moment, and long may that continue. We'll move on to our boys. Tottenham 2, Brighton 1, and this is probably the robbery of the weekend. Out here robbing, man. That's what we do, innit? We had no right to win that game. No right whatsoever. I don't know how we did it. I don't know how Brighton didn't get a penalty. You should have had 2, in fairness. But that's what you get when you ride your luck, I suppose. And, when you got finishers like Kane and Son, who both played themselves back into form, they can do that to you. Defensively, I didn't think we were that bad, in fairness. But Brighton are a very, very good unit under De Zerbi. I'm not saying I'd want De Zerbi as the manager because that just, that to me, it's seek of desperation. I don't think he's been here long enough to warrant that kind of interest. And I'd rather go for a manager that's kind of been in the game a little while at, top clubs that knows sort of what to do and how to build. Not saying De Zerbi can't. I'm just saying Brighton to Spurs is a bit of a mismatch. A little bit like Brighton to Chelsea, what Graham Potter did, and obviously look what's happened to him now. So I'd rather wait until, what he does in the new season. Obviously, providing he's still at the club. But 2-1 win for us. We're still in the race for the top 4. Got a very favourable fixture coming up next for a couple of days time, and that is Bournemouth at home. Speaking of Bournemouth, they went to Leicester and won, which is mad to me considering Bournemouth don't go away from home and do anything. Went out there and beat Leicester 1-0. Leicester are in bags and bags and bags of trouble. Bournemouth, I still think are going down. I still think Bournemouth are gone. They're just making it very, very difficult right now. And they are putting a very, very decent run together as well. Which I'm a bit sceptical. I'm going to be honest. Bournemouth coming to us next week is not a given. It's a favourable game, but it's not a given. There's no given that we're going to win that game. The way Bournemouth playing at the moment, they seem to have got a system that obviously works for them. Philip Billing is in the form of his life at the moment. Scored again over the weekend, the winning goal here. Leicester was just shocking. Sacked Brendan Rodgers. I think they were supposed to have spoken to Jesse Marsh. That collapsed the last minute. Who am I thinking of? Did I get that wrong? I think I saw Jesse Marsh was meant to be the Southampton boss, I think it was. And then that collapsed, sorry. Yeah. I think Leicester have got a manager in, an interim. I think it was Craig Smith. And I think he brought back John Terry as well. But Leicester... they're just not good at the moment. And Bournemouth exploited them. From what I saw, Bournemouth got exactly what they came for, nicked the goal, and pretty much just defended for the rest of the game. Leicester didn't have an answer for them. Moving on to St Mary's, this was the evening kickoff. Southampton 1, Manchester City 4. It's needless to say, Manchester City right now are approaching God mode. This is round about the time of the season where they don't take any prisoners. If you saw what they did to Bayern Munich a couple of days ago, you did know exactly what I'm talking about. Absolutely brutalised them. Brutalised Southampton. Are going to brutalise Leicester when they play them over the weekend. Will then brutalise Arsenal when Arsenal come. And then they're going to coast the league. Erling Haaland, 45 goals. It's the first time a Premier League player has scored 45 goals at this stage of any season. I think that's a record currently, and it's still, for him, about 15 games to go, which is remarkable when you think about sort of, Kane, who's a seasoned striker here, knows where the back of the net is, and he can't even touch him at the moment. Haaland is on a different level. He's different gravy, man, seriously. I know he's not the best footballer, but he's good at what he does. And what he does is put the ball in the back of the net. And if you got one of those, there is no way you're going to lose football games. It's as simple as that. Leeds United won, Crystal Palace 5. A little bit of a shock of this one. I had this one down as a 2-2 draw, based on the fact that Leeds United are usually one of those teams at home that like to score goals, and Crystal Palace away form is quite shocking. But I didn't bank on the Roy Hodgson effect. Hodgson's gone back in. He's now 2-2, 6 points. Light work, isn't it? Came out of retirement just to show the other Donnies how to do it. So, and in that time, I think he scored 2, 4, 5, 7 goals in that time. So no, Palace are doing bits at the minute. Leeds United looked dreadful. Looked absolutely dreadful. Grazia did not know where to put his face this weekend. Yeah, they were horrible. Defensively, I've always felt this with Leeds. Leeds are always a team that are always going to give you chances. And 9 times out of 10, teams take those chances because Leeds just do not know how to defend. Midfield is fantastic. Rocker, McKennie, that is a brilliant, brilliant midfield. Defensively, they are a joke. That needs strengthening. Meslier, I'm still unsure of as well. Decent young goalkeeper, but is he what he needs to be at this stage of his career? Not entirely sure, but Leeds United have got a big summer ahead of them. Massive summer. Whether they're here in the Premier League or whether they're in the Championship, because if they go down, they're losing a few players. If they stay here, they're going to have to rejuvenate that defence because it's not good enough. Junior Firpo cannot be your starting left back, and neither can Luke Ayling at right back. I'm so sorry. It can't happen. Let me not get into the centre backs either. We'll leave that there. Lastly, final game of that weekend on Super Sunday from Anfield. It was Liverpool 2, Arsenal 2, and I'll probably go as far as to say that was the game of the season. It had everything. It had cards, it had goals, it had drama. Even Neville and Carragher, Konate's last sort of ditch save that Aaron Ramsdale got to. Reactions were incredible. Pretty much that was a reaction of the entire country, I'm sure. What a game. Great game. Ended up being 2-2. They've let Manchester City back in it as I predicted they would. Going to Anfield is different, man. Don't get their crowd up. If you get their crowd up, it is a wrap for you. Liverpool at Anfield are just a different animal. And Arsenal felt that over the weekend. I will give the devil their due. They did play well, but should have lost ultimately. But their losses will come. I do think Arsenal are going to drop another 2 or 3 games, and that's where Manchester City are gonna pounce and then take the title. But great game nonetheless. Liverpool, I don't think are touching the top 4. They haven't been good enough this season. Klopp knows it. Big rebuild needed in the summer for them. Also, Matchweek 31 predictions then. We'll start off with Saturday 12:30 kickoff, which is the early one. Aston Villa versus Newcastle. So I did mention that both of these teams had really, really tough weekends. And this is the reason why. Aston Villa versus Newcastle from Villa Park. I am probably going to go with a 1-1 draw, based on the fact that both of these teams are really, really good to watch at the moment and both are in really, really good form. So 1-1 there, Aston Villa, Newcastle. Southampton versus Crystal Palace. I think Palace are going to go there and turn them over 2-0. Southampton just haven't got a hope in hell of anything at this moment in time. I know you'll probably say they scored 3 against us. We were very easy to score against, to be quite honest with you. That's not no mean feat. Do you know what I mean? It's we're one of those teams right now that, when you play us, you'll probably score a goal. We'll give you a goal. We like charity, clearly. It's what we do. But Southampton haven't got a hope in hell. Crystal Palace, I've got them to win that 2-0. Everton versus Fulham, that sounds like a draw all over to me. Or maybe go for an Everton 1-0 cheeky win. Won't be many goals in it though. Neither of these teams score many goals, but I just think Fulham's right at the moment. Everton at home, it's got draw written all over it. Like a 0-0, 1-1 type game. But don't be surprised with an Everton win. I don't see Fulham picking up a win there at all. Tottenham versus Bournemouth from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium even. Tough game again. Each time I've predicted us to win, we've gone on to embarrass ourselves. So I'm going to go with a Bournemouth win again. Every time I've done the Bournemouth win or the Brighton win or the whoever is going to beat us over that weekend, we've ended up winning the game. So same again. I'm going for a Bournemouth win 2-1, which obviously in turn is likely to be we're going to win the game. That's another 3 points for us. Wolverhampton versus Brentford. Again, tough one. Wolverhampton at Molineux are a very decent outfit. Brentford don't travel well. Draw. It's got a draw written over it for me. 1-1, 2-2 type game, I believe. Chelsea versus Brighton. I'm going to go with a Brighton win there. Chelsea are just hideous. They are rancid. Can't find their best 11. Players don't look like they're up for the fight. New signings don't look good enough. Brighton are in really, really decent form. Were unlucky against us last week. But Brighton usually like to come into the capital. And I do think they're going to take the scalp of Chelsea this weekend. I'm going for a Brighton 2-0 win. Manchester City versus Leicester is on Saturday at 5:30. Again, Manchester City in the last 3 games have scored, a lot of goals. I can't even pinpoint how many. I see another 4 or 5 here against Leicester. Leicester might respond with one of their own, but I think Manchester City win this at a landslide. Haaland will probably be at the double again for me. We'll go 4-1 on this one. Manchester City versus Leicester. Super Sunday, West Ham versus Arsenal. That is from the London Stadium. I'm probably going to go with an Arsenal win, but I don't think it's going to be a given. It will be a tight game. I think West Ham will be really up for it, as they are in the Europa League tonight as well, of course. I'm going to go with an Arsenal win. I think it will be 2-1 to them. Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United from the City ground. I'm going to go with a Man United win just. Nottingham Forest have been really, really good at home this season, but I do believe that now the fixtures are starting to pile up and it's starting to catch them up a little bit. And they've been losing a few games that they should have obviously been winning. Man United are in decent form at the moment as well. So I can only look at Man United to win this, and I'm going to go with a 1-0 win there for Manchester United. Final game of the weekend is Leeds United versus Liverpool. That's on the Monday Night Football. That's from Ellen Road. I will go with a Liverpool win there. Leeds United, again, abysmal at home. If they show up again with what they did last weekend against Crystal Palace against his Liverpool side, they're getting turned over again. And I'm going to go with a Liverpool 3-0 win. That concludes my video today. The next video I'm probably going to give you is going to be around about this time next week, potentially a Friday. Not really much else to really talk about with regards to football. It's kind of just been all go, to be quite honest with you. We're in the last leg of the season now. We're going to see a lot more twists and turns. I'm pretty certain of it. I'm pretty certain Arsenal win the league, and I'm pretty certain Real Madrid are going to win the Champions League as well. But again, these are conversations that we can obviously have amongst ourselves at another time. I'm going to head off. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend when it comes. And yeah, we'll have another conversation in about a week's time. Until then, take care. Speak later.